Okay, in this video we're going to go over I guess you could say a miner's friend. Basically this is called the cube, I suppose. And basically, first thing is setting it up, and we'll go over this. But just briefly, water flows down from here, from this pipe, gets pumped out, and basically gold can get caught in here, and then you got little carpet layers in here. You can use plastic or whatever you need to in this, and you can find this at stores that have gold and such. And basically, you're going to want to keep this level. That's what's happening right now, is leveling it out, and that way you're not trapping it on one side or the other. And for this right here, you can get this at Lowe's or Home Depot. This is good for like mixing cement, and you'll find it in that area where you find cinder blocks and stuff. And typically this unit right here could cost you about $300 to start up, and then you got your own pump right here, which you got this one right here, about 1,100 gallons per hour. So these things can cost maybe about 40 bucks or whatever. They can run on 12 volts, but I actually have this jump starter right here that actually can act as a its own battery. So the problem is that this seems to want a full charge 12 volts. So yeah, oh, gotta slam this down. This isn't all the way down.
I know.
Okay. There we go. And so when water's pumping, it should give a good amount of flow to push all the heavy stuff down, or the lighter stuff like rocks and stuff, and then heavier stuff like gold and black sand will get stuck in here, and we'll go and demonstrate that. But this is the basic setup. It makes it very easy when you have a lot of fine stuff, or just lighter coarse stuff already classified down. And this can help sift out the gold and make it a lot easier to pan out. So right now we got the pump running, and it's trying to suck up water. I don't know if this thing is charged enough yet to actually give full power, but trying to get the water to pump up and get running, so testing it right now. So there we go. So you can see the water runs, and one of the things that you might want to do is actually, there's, you know, stuff you put in your dishwasher called jet dry. If you just put like a couple of drops of jet dry into this itself, it should help prevent the gold from floating. And yeah, so if you put too much in it, like what happened the first time we ran this, it can actually make the gold float and do the reverse of what it's supposed to do. So you got to be careful of that. There we go, just testing it, rubbing. I'm guessing you're cleaning off whatever might be on there.
Yes, make sure there's no air bubbles in the edges.
And as we're going through, you can see right there, there's a little bit of gold that got dropped off right here already. Just taking a spoonful at a time. If your dirt is dried out, then you'll have a better chance, but you can see the gold sticks. And you got some good sized pieces here. I mean, it's nothing extravagant, but it's good. As you can see, basically taking the spoon across and distributing it so it doesn't pile up in one area. That way it can actually flow and not drag the gold down to the next level.
And if you're not for sure, when you run all your classified material that's down there, you can run it again, you don't lose anything.
Yeah. And this is where this bucket actually comes in handy. I mean, before we were using a gold pan, and there might have been a little overspill, but this piece right here, this Tupperware that you can find at any Walmart or whatever, these little storage bins, this can hold a lot of dirt, and you don't really have to worry about this stuff, the foggy crap, because gold's not really going to sit there and float. But Basically, this will hold all the extra dirt, so if you still want to pan this, that's fine. But this right here is supposed to simplify your life a bit and kind of makes it a little bit easier to pan out, because when you're panning, it requires a good amount of patience and kind of taking things slow. And
a lot of beer.
yeah. So this is the kind of stuff that if you're serious about gold mining and just mining in general, this can probably be something you can do over the winter time here in Alaska when it gets cold and you want to just go ahead and work on your claim and all your fine stuff. This is the kind of machine that can really be a good return on investment real quick if you've been getting a lot of fine stuff. Like basically this whole bucket right here, almost every spoonful is giving you a little bit of gold, and depending on how the gold's doing at that time of year, you can get your money's worth. And even if you're recreational but you actually do it a lot and it's a hobby, or you may have a place that can actually give you a good amount of gold, as you can see here, this is actually doing really good so far. Okay, so we ran through pretty much an entire bucket, and you can see just a trail of gold here, and some of it is covered up by the black sand. You can see pretty respectable sizes of gold, and some of it will be under this black sand you see here. It can be kind of difficult to see how it's kind of covering it up a little bit, but the next step is basically removing this and removing this part where this is actually, this matting in here is an area where the gold would be. You want to prevent there from being any air bubbles when you set it up initially. It'll typically fall down in here. It'll kind of create a little whirlwind action, I guess you could say, or how would you describe that? Basically how it goes down in there and yeah, kind of anything that's really heavy, like actual nuggets, would probably stay there, or anything like that. But other than that, everything pretty much gets stuck in these, and here it has actually 3 tiers for it to get stuck, so these are very good at catching the little pieces. But of course, it flows down into the bucket underneath here, which is submerged, I guess, right now. And then you can run it through again if you feel like you might have missed some. Alright, we're going to go and get it out and show you panning it out. Okay, so this is the second tier right below the original mat. You can see here all this gold that gets built up on this second layer, the carpet here basically. This is where it all gets caught. This is straight up gold. So this works out very well, and you got to remember that there's a few tiers of this, and you can buy, I guess, as many as you want, but to a certain point it doesn't really pay off to have all those different levels. But most of it is going to be caught in this top area right here, because basically the water pushes over, as you can see how it'll push it up, and obviously the gold being heavy is not going to push over this. So this was well cleaned and prepped for this kind of action. But you do see some stuff in here like little bits of grass or something like that, but it's obviously not affecting its ability to catch the gold. So the next job, getting this out, and this is secured, you can't really take this off, so I'm just washing this off and using a brush. No need for soap or anything, just I'm brushing it down. This is just the first tier. The second tier didn't look like it really had anything. Typically everything can be caught on the first tier. This is where all the gold was caught, so basically dump it into this bucket and then start painting from here.
Like for instance, I was just scrubbing it. Look what's still caught in here.
Yeah. Don't want to leave. This stuff is very good at catching it.
And it's very good at keeping it too.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the plastic tote that was catching everything at the bottom, and it's being put into this bucket. So this stuff can be ran again if you feel like it might have missed something, the water was moving too fast, or you had enough particulates that you might have missed something. There can be some stuff at the bottom here, like really fine stuff, but yeah. not too bad to run it through again.
Okay, hang on. So what I like doing is make sure it gets down to a lower amount of water. I'm still perfecting this. I started it this year. Get it down to here and just slowly rock it back and forth to get the...
Like a huge pan.
Exactly. But see, the way I'm doing it right now, see all these fines in here? They will go down here. So it might be just as simple as take a little bit in a spoon, pan it down. A more of a controlled environment than this. This is just an idea of what you can find, what the cube will do. So let me get it down a little bit. This is kind of like cheating, and just to look to see what you got.
Yeah.
Or how much. But what I really like to do depends on how much I think I may have. I'll put it all in a separate pan and do just a little bit at a time. Yeah, it's time consuming. I don't really like the genie wheel or the round wheel, whatever they call it. Pros and cons.
What do you mean by the
But what about running this through like the Blue Bowl?
You could. It's the same principle really. Whatever goes down through the bucket and catches, if you don't like it, run it again. You have not lost anything. And this also gives you practice for panning too. If you say, get a spoonful of this and run it in a pan.
Now after kind of kicking this top dirt around, find a big little cache of it that was hiding from basically turning it to push all this here and start washing it back a little bit at a time. I mean, that's a good amount of gold right there. And those are very respectable sizes too. Yeah.
Makes it easier to get the fines out. Put your thumb over it, turn it upside down. Obviously my arm don't turn as much, so you can shake it. Get everything down here to the bottom. Get over the, obviously over the pan. When you're done, move your thumb, and all your solids are down the bottom. The rest of the water will finish rinsing out your bottle.
Make sure you dip your thumb into the water.
Yeah, and always do it over something, because you might have a speck or two in your hand and not even realize it. So.
I'm gonna have to show you how I did this, guy.
So.
And this is just a quick way of looking. What I'll do from here is I pan it out.
And this isn't even the fine detailed, like going slow and getting every little
Give me
bit
that bottle.
out.
So
Give me that bottle. So what I'll do from here is, okay, I've got a line. So I still have all this, but this is pretty close to being clean. Suck it up. Alright, all that's in there. Shake it back down. Pan it out. It helps get rid of a lot of extra crap. You get another line going. Take your bottle. Catch your line. And you don't have a lot of that black sand.
So it is time consuming, but you know, if you're getting down into the detail, but you're picking up the big stuff that you saw. There was some pretty good sized pieces in there.
I'm sure there's an easier way of doing it.
Yeah, maybe. But
I don't have
$5,000
$5,000 to do a jig table. Sorry.
So then once you get the big stuff, you get down to the smaller stuff, which is still a really good size, but then it's, you know, mixed with dust and stuff like that. So, I mean, you can go over this, and you can go down to like a Blue Bowl, but, I mean, that's what a bit of patience can do for you. Okay, so that pretty much wraps it up for the cube. I mean, it's a pretty time-consuming process to actually get down to everything, and you can come up with more processes to get stuff, but this does pretty much show you the bigger stuff, and it catches it pretty well. But you know, it can be a worthy investment if you're actually serious about recreational mining, or even doing it hell for a living. Actually, stranding yourself up on a claim for the whole summer, and getting yourself set up to make a few $1,000s. So, yep.